Laguna Niguel, March 1972. A family of burglars from Ohio is about to pull off the largest bank vault burglary in American history. Nobody outside Youngstown has ever heard of them. That's the point. To understand what happened inside that vault, you need to understand the man who planned it, Emil Dincio. Born and raised in Youngstown, Ohio, a city that by 1972 was quietly one of the most organized, crime-saturated places in the United States. Youngstown didn't have a mob problem. Youngstown was the mob. The streets were run by a network of families so embedded in the city's bones that local law enforcement had stopped pretending otherwise. Dincio grew up inside that world, not as muscle, not as a driver, as a craftsman. He and his brother James were burglars, professional ones, not the kind who smash windows and run, the kind who study a building for weeks, understand every alarm, every lock, every wall thickness, and walk in on a Friday night and walk out Sunday morning with everything worth taking. By 1972, the two brothers had done it, by some estimates, close to 70 times. Banks mostly, night depositories, vaults. They had never been caught. They had never left a workable clue. James was the hands, an explosives expert, a fabricator who built his own burglary tools from scratch, custom chisels, cutting frames, devices that didn't exist in any hardware store because he'd designed them himself for specific jobs. Emil was the mind, the planner, the one who read a building the way an engineer reads a blueprint. They were not reckless men. They were not violent men. They were in the specific discipline of breaking into vaults, among the best in the country. In late 1971, a tip came in. The source was credible, the most credible possible. Jimmy Hoffa, head of the Teamsters, connected to every major organized crime family in America, had a piece of information. There was a bank in Southern California, Laguna Niguel, United California Bank. And inside its vault, according to Hoffa, sat a very specific fortune, a slush fund. Contributions funneled to Richard Nixon's 1972 re-election campaign through a web of donors and intermediaries. Dirty money sitting in safe deposit boxes, belonging to the most powerful man in the world. The number being whispered was $30 million. Emil Dincio listened. Then he flew to California to look at the building. The vault was set into the ground floor of the building. Reinforced concrete walls, a single heavy door with 3 separate time lock mechanisms that would only open at 9:15 Monday morning when the bank opened for business. The alarm system was sophisticated, multiple layers, professionally installed. From the outside, it was exactly what a bank vault was supposed to be, impenetrable. Dincio looked at it and saw something else. He looked at the roof. The vault ceiling was reinforced concrete, but the building above it was not. There was a layer of plywood, rubber insulation, and standard roofing material between the outside world and the top of the vault. If you could get onto the roof without triggering the external alarms, you could cut through those layers quietly. And once through, you were sitting directly on top of the vault lid, not fighting the door, not fighting the locks, coming in from above where nobody had thought to put the same level of protection. Phil Christopher, the alarm specialist Dincio had been required to bring along by the man who had given him the tip, spent time mapping the system. The alarms could be defeated, not easily, but they could be defeated. Dincio assembled his crew, his brother James, his nephews Harry and Ronald Barber, his brother-in-law Charles Mulligan, who would drive and watch the perimeter, Christopher for the alarms, and Charles Bruckle, a man Dincio had not chosen, did not want, and trusted immediately about as far as he could throw the vault door. Bruckle was a petty thief, no technical skills, no discipline. Dincio took him because he had no choice. He gave him one job, help move boxes once they were inside. The crew flew from Ohio to Los Angeles, 5 of them on a single commercial flight, under their own names. They rented a townhouse close to the bank, bought groceries, settled in, waited for the weekend. Friday night, March 24th, 1972. Christopher killed the alarms. The crew went up onto the roof in darkness. James Dincio cut through the plywood and insulation with tools he had made himself. They pulled back the roofing material and found themselves looking down at the top of a concrete vault. James had brought dynamite. They blasted a hole through the reinforced concrete ceiling. Then they dropped inside. The vault was full. Safe deposit boxes lined every wall, hundreds of them. They started working. They came back Saturday night. They came back Sunday night. They were looking for the $30 million Hoffa had promised them, the Nixon money. They tore through box after box. They found cash, jewelry, bearer bonds, the contents of hundreds of private lives, wills, photographs, marriage certificates, the personal documents of ordinary people who had trusted a bank to keep them safe. One box held a metal urn, someone's ashes. Dincio set it aside carefully and didn't touch it. They didn't find the $30 million. Nobody knows with certainty whether it was ever there. 2 hours before the time lock would open the vault door and the first bank employees would arrive, Emil Dincio jammed the 3-timer mechanism so the door wouldn't open on schedule, buying time. Then the crew left. They drove back to the townhouse. They packed. They flew home to Ohio. Behind them, they left a destroyed vault ceiling, 3 jam timers, hundreds of broken deposit boxes, and the scattered contents of the people who had kept their most important possessions in that building. The FBI's bank crime investigators arrived and found, in their own words, no workable clues. The total taken was estimated at $9 million. In today's money, close to $70 million. The largest safe deposit vault burglary in American history.